Hello everybody. Thank you for joining me for your weekend love reading for all of the signs. I'm going to split it up into two parts again. It just seemed to work out easier that way. I hope everybody's had a beautiful week. I did just put out the collective reading for the week on the 17th. We are in the midst of Mercury retrograde, which, let me tell you, just the first day of it, the 17th, which is actually, I'm recording this today, the first day of Mercury retrograde. I just want to be able to get everything out on time, so I record things a little early. But yeah, the energy was just heavy. Not heavy in a kind of detrimental or bad way, I guess. It was more so like I just had like a major headache for some reason. I don't get headaches too often, and so I kind of attributed that to, a combination of energetic downloads and just the energy in Mercury retrograde. I don't know. Don't really have much to say on it. I think it's, subjective for everybody. I'm not sure if I'm thinking about putting out a Mercury retrograde reading. If I have put it out, it should already be out by the time this reading is out, depending on how everything goes. So, that said, I'll make sure to timestamp everything in the description. That seemed to work out pretty well last time. And everybody really seemed to love the all signs reading. I think the specific readings work out better for everybody. It's a little bit easier to interpret some of the energies and stories that come through when I'm not trying to do an entire collective of every single sign. But if I'm doing it for each specific sign, then it's a little bit easier. So I'll be sure to timestamp below when the reading starts. So if you don't like listening to my little intro, I'll make sure to timestamp that. I'm going to timestamp each sign. So for this part 1 reading, we're going to do Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. And then part 2 is going to be Scorpio, Sag, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, and Libra before Scorpio. Sorry, I forgot that. So, yes. So before we get into it, time and energy are fluid. If a message doesn't resonate, don't force it, and maybe for you at a different time. Keep in mind that these energies, given it's a love reading, it can pertain to you or another person, and vice versa. It can honestly switch. There's so many different factors that go into these types of readings. So, just take what resonates, don't try to, and just leave what doesn't. Don't try to force anything. So that said, I do implore you to take a deep breath with me so we may connect with our higher selves and to spirit more clearly. Call out to spirit to please help myself, the collective, and anybody watching this to hear, see, and know whatever we need to hear, see, and know for a weekend love reading for the weekend of February 21st to February 23rd, 2020. And we're going to be using the Dragon Tarot and the Mystical Cats Tarot. I feel like these are a nice balance of masculine and feminine energies. It's kind of, I notice each tarot deck tends to have a predominantly masculine or feminine vibrance to it. The Mystical Cat Tarot to me is a majorly feminine deck. Dragon Tarot to me is a majorly masculine deck. But again, it's not gender specific, and these messages can apply to any whichever way. So, yes, let's go ahead and get right into it. So, hold on. I'm just going to pop up my computer. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay. Hello, Aries. So, we're going to go ahead and get the reading started for you for February 21st to February 23rd in love. We're going to go ahead and do 3 shuffles, whatever spirit has for you. Let's see what's going on. Oh, okay, that one just popped right out. We'll throw it right down there. 8 of Cups in reverse. 8 of Cups in reverse. Apologies. Okay. And I guess that's it. Those are the cards. So let's see here. We have 8 of Cups reversed, 2 of Wands, and King of Pentacles reversed. So kind of right off the bat, I'm feeling like you're kind of stuck. Like I'm hearing the phrase like stuck in between a rock and a hard place. So I'm feeling like you're kind of in a position where you need to either choose yourself or you need to choose somebody else's needs and desires. And it's almost like I'm feeling like this energy of like somebody kind of wants you to sacrifice a part of yourself to make them happy, even if they're not doing it willingly. And I think that's mostly indicated here by the fact that we do have the Two of Wands, but given we do have two cards on the side of it, and I feel like this kind of indicates which path you want to take, in a sense. And so the path on the left I'm seeing right here, since it's Eight of Cups in reverse, that's like, do you want to kind of settle for this emotionally unfulfilling situation, or do you want to take a path that is going to force you to kind of relinquish control afterwards? And so I find it kind of interesting because like the King of Pentacles in the upright can indicate somebody who is very, hardworking and driven, and this is well manifested within the physical realms. Given this is in the aspect of love, this can represent the person you're dealing with that is forcing you to make the decision. But if you're looking at this from your kind of divine masculine energies within yourself, as almost kind of like either you or this person needs to relinquish the control, but also not foregoing your own needs and boundaries. I'm going to actually clarify that a bit. Okay, that was a terrible shuffle. Hold on. Here we go. So, yeah, I don't know, Aries. It doesn't feel like a terrible energy. It doesn't feel like a really sad, or I'm trying to put it into words. That's the thing I'm noticing when I'm starting to do these readings, these reading aloud readings, more video readings. It's more so me interpreting emotions and what I'm feeling in an empathic sense, I guess. It's almost kind of like a disdain for the decision that you're being forced to make because you thought things were so good, you thought things were going well, and then it's almost as if this person kind of just like flipped on you in some kind of aspect, and now you're forced to make a decision on whether you want to continue. Okay, let's clarify these real quick. So that's Sky Kitten in reverse, the Chariot, and Two of Pentacles, or Two of Earth. So I'm actually being drawn to the bottom of the deck too, which is King of, what is that? Six of Sky, so it's Six of Swords in reverse. Yeah, so it's looking like you're not even willing to put up a fight. And that's kind of what I'm getting here. It's like it feels like this energy of not wanting to make the decision, but only because you feel like you need to get to a place in which you're taking care of yourself. The Two of Pentacles in the Chariot tells me that you don't want to lose control of yourself in this relationship with this person you're dealing with. Given we do have the Six of Swords in reverse, that's telling me that there is some conflict. There's clearly some kind of conflict within something in the relationship. And I feel like it's surrounding how things are going to move forward. And it doesn't necessarily feel like you're wanting to move forward, given the fact that you don't want to continue to run into the same problems with this person. And so I'm just going to pull one card from each deck real quick. Actually, you know what? We do have the Tower at the bottom of the deck here, so I'm actually going to pull that out. Yeah, and I think Spirit's advice to you right now, Aries, is to understand that in order for new structures to come to be in your life, new fulfilling relationships to flourish, old ways of thinking and old ways of going about relationships are going to have to be broken down. And I think that's kind of what the Tower is indicating here, is this whole situation is a big Tower moment, and it's kind of like a wake-up call to make you realize that if you're going to continue to run into these same types of relationships and situations unless you stop participating in them. And so it's like I notice these types of situations will continue to come up until you put your foot down, even within that internal boundary, and say, I'm no longer going to give my energy to this. I call all of my energy back to myself, cleansed, and I just kind of wipe my hands of anything that is really trying to pull me outside of who I know I am. If that makes sense. So that does conclude the reading for you, Aries, for this weekend. Thank you so much. I love you. Best of luck. Yeah, you got this, Aries. You got this. I think you just need to choose yourself at the end of the day. Hello, Taurus. Hope you're doing well. I am a fellow Taurus myself. We're going to go ahead and get right into the energies for your weekend love reading for February 21st to February 23rd, 2020. So if anything Spirit wants you to know, I'm not going to do this in any particular way. It's going to be similar to the last week's reading. Keep in mind this is a part 1. You can do this for any part of your chart. I should actually have said that in the beginning. But yes. So Taurus, literally any part of your chart. Really doesn't matter. Look up your chart. You get your birth time, birthplace, and birth date. And you can essentially apply this to anywhere Taurus falls in your chart. So Taurus, what do we have for you? 2 of Cups reverse, Queen of Pentacles reverse, and a Death. Okay. Yeah. So I'm feeling like you're coming out of this energy. If I recall last week, it was this energy of kind of, you were coming into maturation of your own internal state, and you kind of had learned the lessons that were being presented to you. And I think because of that, you're really in a state of transformation right now. I think indicated here by Death, and Death with the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and this two of Cups in reverse. You're essentially coming to a point where you're able to heal the feminine aspects of you that may have been taken advantage of. And so let's say you're a very loving person. Taurians in general tend to be very loyal people. I know because I am one, and my sister and my dad are also a Taurus. So I do have a lot of experience with people that have Taurus placements. And I know, so I used to have friends with various Taurus placements, not just Taurus Sun. And just from my experience with the Taurian energy, it's a very loyal energy, but it can be to your detriment. And so I think that's actually kind of what these cards are saying here too. It's like you kind of have to learn to draw the line between how much you're going to care for somebody, because you can care for somebody so much to the point where it just starts to throw your entire life off. I'm a big proponent of, making sure your mental, emotional, and spiritual health are all in balance, because if one is out of balance, they're all out of balance. They all work in tandem. So let's go ahead and clarify a bit. See what Spirit has for you. But I think more than anything right now, what I'm getting is you just kind of have to get to this place of like inner knowing, to the point where you just have to know yourself well enough to know when somebody is taking advantage of you, even if they're doing it unintentionally. They may be somebody who has done this in the past. They were raised in a way that was just conducive to a very selfish and victimhood type of energy. So just be very cautious if you're dealing with somebody that is kind of trying to sweet talk you into doing things for them, and then once you do what they want you to do, they kind of fall off a little bit. Be very cautious of that. So we do have the Emperor reverse, Earth Tom, which I believe is the Prince of Pentacles, and the Lovers. Yeah. So I think that's kind of the main message right now, especially because we do have the Emperor in reverse and the Lovers here. I'm feeling like you kind of have to make the decision between feeding into somebody's unhealthy behaviors and realizing that you have just as much a part in that cycle as they do, and kind of trying to move forward in a way that isn't enabling somebody to continue to treat you a certain way. How people treat you is really on them, but how you react is completely up to you, and whether you feed into what they're trying to bring into your life. So I think that's really just the main message, is you kind of got to get clear with yourself. You got to be really honest with, how certain people make you feel, in the sense of not like trying to get them to act a certain way, but trying to recognize how you feel energetically and emotionally after you talk to somebody, or after you spend some time with somebody. Pay attention to when this person comes around. Do they only come around when you're like feeling really, really good and they see you doing well, and then they come to steal some of your energy, and then they just like fall off once you kind of get back to that place of like insecurity and low self-esteem, and just feeling like, oh, this is my only option, like I don't have anybody else, blah blah blah. But just like being sure to choose yourself before even trying to invest in this person. But that is actually all that's coming through for this. So best of luck to you, Taurus. I love you so much. Do not forget to get real with yourself, choose yourself, and you got this. Hello, Gemini. We're going to get into the energies for your weekend love reading for February 21st to February 23rd. Do a quick shuffle. Hope you had a beautiful week. Again, this can apply to any aspect of your chart, no matter what Gemini placement you have, even if it's like a Gemini placement in a house. You can look up your chart. There's so many different free sites that you can look your natal chart up on. And even if you're cross-watching, the message may very much be for you as well. So, Gemini, what do we got for you? We have Three of Wands reversed. We have the Wheel of Fortune. And we have the Seven of Swords. So the main message I'm getting is now is not the time to try to go behind people's backs. Now is not the time to try to be shady. And it's not so much you're doing it out of a place of malice, but I feel like you're kind of in this space where somebody may have done or said something that is making you feel like you need to do it back to them. And I think the reason the Wheel of Fortune is here, while it does indicate, just letting things kind of work out on their own, letting the cycles close out without you really, inputting too much energy into them. I feel like more so than anything, because it's here with the Seven of Swords, it's almost like a warning that's letting you know, if you try to do to this person what they did to you, it's going to backfire. And I feel like the Three of Wands in the reverse, it's kind of indicating that if you decide to do that, that's just going to like throw everything off balance. It's essentially going to put a halt to anything in your life that you've been working on, even outside of this relationship. I feel like kind of embodying that energy of revenge and really wanting to get back at somebody, it's going to taint every other aspect of your life. So let's go ahead and get some clarification here. Spirit, what do you got for Gemini? We have Sea Kitten, Nine of Fire, which is Nine of Wands, and then we have Five of Wands, Five of Fire. Okay. Spirit's telling me to take the bottom of the deck, so I'm actually bringing it out. It's the Chariot. I think right now, the message I'm getting here, it's a good idea to be careful who you talk to. I'm getting a story of somebody that may be involved with somebody that has, it's like a small world type of energy. Like, you don't know who knows who, you know what I mean? Like, you really don't know if, like, the person you're talking to, let's say you're talking to, like, one of your close friends, or maybe, like, an acquaintance, even if it's somebody on Instagram or something, and you're just kind of like venting about the situation that you're going with, but like lo and behold, like this person knows like a friend of the person you're talking to, and then they tell them, like not thinking anything, but then let's say like that friend is like, oh, you know what, I have to tell so-and-so, and so that comes back to bite you because the words may get twisted around, and it can just really lead to a very messy situation. And I think to avoid that, it's best to not, basically just don't go around like talking shit about people without knowing the full story. It's kind of what I'm getting here. And I think, the Sea Kitten right now, it's saying, if you do have a problem with this person, and I think it's kind of like you need to speak up to them, and you need to let them know what's going on and how you feel without blaming them particularly. Just let them know, like, hey, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm experiencing in the connection. I don't appreciate this, that, and the third. I don't appreciate that you did this, that, and the third. Whether or not they apologize to you, I kind of can go any which way, but I think at the end of the day, if you can, like I saw a video on TikTok yesterday. I forgot who it was. It was just on the For You page, and it was like a method of learning to find a sense of forgiveness within the subconscious. And so this lady, she said that you would basically write a letter to yourself as if you were this person apologizing to you. And that essentially tricks your subconscious mind into finding a sense of peace without you even having to actively go and try to forget this person. I mean, if you watch my readings in the past, you know how my views on forgiveness and how it's not always completely necessary and it takes time. But I think this is a good step to go. Writing a letter to this person too, if you need to, saying everything you need to say in a letter, and then burn it. You don't even have to show it to them. But yeah, that concludes your reading for this weekend, Gemini. I love you so much. Thank you for watching, and best of luck to you. But we will be moving on to Cancer. Hello. Hope you're doing well, Cancer. Let's see. So keep in mind this can apply to any aspect of your chart. You're more than welcome to look up your chart. I actually implore you to have it with you during this reading, as that will present a bit of insight into some of the lessons you may be experiencing in love. I do know some of the houses to pay attention to. Obviously, pay attention to Venus, but you could pay attention to, I think, the 7th and the 8th house, if I'm correct. Can give you some indication on lessons you may be learning in love. And if you do have Cancerian placement within, the 7th or the 8th house, or you have like a planet in Cancer, let's say like a Cancer Venus or something in the 7th house, then that would be a good indication of like looking at the specific aspects of each of that house, of the planet, and of Cancer in general, and finding a general consensus, and even looking at some of the aspects that may be impacting these lessons. But yes, we're going to get right into it. So Cancer, what do we have for you for the weekend of February 21st to the 23rd, 2020? Sword? Excuse me. Knight of Pentacles. I don't know, I just said sword. It's not like a thing. Knight of Pentacles, Tower reversed. 7 of Swords reversed, and I did notice the High Priestess was on the bottom of the deck, and we will take that. So I think right off the bat, it's almost kind of like this energy of moving away from people who may not have their best interests in mind. And I think the reason I like the High Priestess card, in any deck, I feel like the energy of the High Priestess, it's kind of like you're reaching like this plateau of a lesson. And the High Priestess is kind of keeping the veil up enough for you to be able to think for yourself. And I think the reason why the Tower is in the reverse with the High Priestess is kind of this energy of like you're being presented with the opportunity to make the choices and learn the lessons before the Tower has to go upright. You know what I mean? And if the Tower was in the upright, that's usually the universe coming in and saying like, hey, like, there's completely like obliterating a specific aspect of your life, particularly in the context of relationships. This would be this person being removed from your life completely. And so I think right now, given we do have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, this does feel like the person you're dealing with. It does feel like this person may be in some type of shady energy. They may not be telling you the whole truth. It almost feels like they want to go behind your back, but they're like afraid to go behind your back. And I feel like that it's not so much like they're out trying to get you or anything, but it just feels like they don't necessarily agree with the way you're going about something. I don't know if it's, and it's almost like they don't agree with the way you're looking at the relationship or the way you're approaching the relationship. And it's almost like that's what's kind of causing the conflict, because the 7 of Swords in the upright would indicate to me that this person is actually really being shady and trying to sneak behind your back and do stuff. But I think right now it's more so just taking a look at what this person does opposed to what they actually say, and seeing if that matches up. And if you're somebody who, if you feel like somebody that can read somebody's energy just based on how you're interacting with them, not like encroaching on their energetic privacy, but being able to feel the energy dynamics, you'll likely be able to tell if something is off. And trusting your gut and your intuition enough to know if something is off. So, we're going to clarify this for you. Cool. Take those. So we have Good Kitty, 4 of Wands reversed, and 2 of Pentacles reversed. Yeah, so I think right now there's this energy of like making the decision that is best for you without like actively trying to, harm another person emotionally, and kind of making sure that you don't make these decisions from an emotionally unbalanced place. I think Four of Wands reversed and the Two of Pentacles reversed is telling me that the foundation of this relationship is being shooken up for good reason. And I think it's to get you to look at, it's getting you to look at the cycles in the relationship and seeing how they may reflect paths that you've gone down in the past. And it's like you're being presented with this opportunity to take a new path. That doesn't necessarily mean leaving the person altogether, but this does indicate that now is a good time to maybe just go about things differently and not accept things that are essentially if somebody's like trying to undermine you, like not really feeding into that, not accepting that, and just kind of like setting your foot down. This came out for, I think it was Aries too, setting your foot down and saying, hey, like this isn't okay. If you don't agree with me here, let's talk about it. And I think communication is a big aspect that needs to be worked on within this relationship, is what Spirit's telling me. But yeah, much love to you, Cancer. That doesn't conclude your section of the reading. I love you so much, and you have a fantastic weekend. Hello, my Leos. I hope you're doing well. Keep in mind that this reading can apply to any aspect of your chart. I would implore you to have your chart with you as you're watching this reading. So let's see what Spirit has for you for the weekend of the 21st to the 23rd, 2020 in love. Okay, we have the Ace of Pentacles reversed, we have the Ten of Cups, and we have Justice reversed, but I did notice this Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck. And so I think right off the bat, what I'm seeing is that the fact that something didn't work out with somebody is what's going to lead you to a much more fulfilling relationship. And so it almost feels like something had just started. Or maybe you were just starting to get to know somebody, and maybe they ghosted you, or maybe they're starting to pull back a little bit and you notice that they're not really seeming to want to invest the way they wanted to in the beginning. But it's interesting, it's like Justice in reverse doesn't necessarily feel like it doesn't feel like a terrible energy, It feels like right now you're presented with the opportunity to kind of refine what it is you do want out of a relationship and apply that the next time you do meet somebody new. But if something's not working with somebody, like there's no reason to force that, because if you force it, this two of cups is going to be turned into the reverse. You're going to end up heartbroken. Like if you're trying to force this, if you're trying to find fulfillment in somebody who either doesn't want that or isn't necessarily a good fit for you, you need to be real with yourself enough to understand when to put things to rest, or at least to change the way you interact with this person. We're going to actually clarify these real quick for you. That was actually a really quick message that came out for you. So I was thinking of that card too when I was thinking of the Ace of Pentacles reverse. It almost felt like an Ace of Wands reverse, but I didn't see it. Now it makes sense because it's here. Clarify bottom at the bottom. Yeah, so I think right now it's a good thing to understand that these things don't work out for a reason. And what I'm being told right now is the Earth Kitten is essentially saying one of two things: to be cautious going forward with this person, and that if you do kind of learn to set the boundaries with this person within yourself and externally, this will kind of create the space for something new to come in. But it just is, what I'm seeing is like this person that you're dealing with, it doesn't look like it's necessarily leading to what you thought it would. And if you do still want to associate with this person in that way, and if you want to chase them, that's all you. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But it's just looking like right now, the snapshot of this energy isn't looking like it's like going to move off the ground anytime soon. It just looks like it's kind of at a pause if you do consider continuing with this person. But if you're actually, I'm getting the message now, like if you're actually in a relationship with somebody, it's kind of like this energy of needing space is what I'm being told. So it's like looking at it from the perspective of actually being with somebody, I am seeing that there was like some kind of conflict in the relationship that may have led to a sense of needing space, and maybe that can explain the pulling back. That can explain the lack of, I guess, normalcy that you were experiencing in this relationship. And so I think right now, a big reason this is being presented to you for this kind of second part of the story is the Nine of Cups in reverse is saying, hey, like, don't go back to your old ways of overindulging, like, kind of find healthy ways of filling your time and even getting more in touch with yourself and kind of like renewing your sense of inner wonder, trying to find things that make you happy that are outside of this relationship so that your happiness is not dependent on this other person. But that concludes your section of the reading. I love you so much, Leos. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Because now, Virgo, hello Virgos. So we're going to go ahead and shuffle. And we're going to get your energies for the weekend of the 21st to the 23rd for 2020 February. So let's see what Spirit has in store. Keep in mind this can apply to any aspect of your chart. So I would implore you to have your chart open while you're reading this, or watching this, excuse me. That can provide a lot of insight into how these apply to your life, whether it's Virgo in a specific house or planetary placement of Virgo. So we do have the Fool in reverse, we have the Seven of Wands in reverse, and then we have the Page of Swords in reverse. Okay. Yeah. So I think this is actually a continuation of what we got last week for Virgo, because last week I remember the energy for Virgo was just kind of very frustrated, aggressive energy, wanting to come forward and just like blast a person with messages and just call them out on this, that, and the third. And so what I'm seeing right now, it's interesting because like these cards are showing me that you may have gone ahead and done something. You may have gone forward. Like the Seven of Wands in the upright can indicate like passionate messages, loving messages. But in the reverse, it's kind of telling me, especially with the Page of Swords in reverse, it's like either you decided to take that action, you have made the mistake of like saying things you didn't mean, or you're still in this energy of wanting to do this, which is indicated by the Fool in reverse. Either way, these cards are kind of saying like, hey, like you still need to make sure you don't completely like wreck somebody just because you're feeling away. Like I'm all for calling people out on their shit, but like I think there's a fine line between calling people out and then just really, really holding something against them. You know, you gotta let people grow, give them the space to grow. Doesn't mean you have to stick around for all of it, but you know, everybody grows at their own pace, and it's not something you can always control. Alright, Virgo, what do we got? Five of Wands, the Hermit, and Ten of Wands reversed. Yeah, so this is a very similar message to last week. We got the Fool again on the bottom of the deck. So I think right now you should take this opportunity again to go within. Make sure you're understanding why you want to say the things you want to say. I mean, I would actually go back. I'll do a little card up top, up to the right, up here somewhere. I don't know if I'm pointing correctly. Up here, I guess. So a little card should pop up, but you can go to my page. There's the weekend love reading for the Virgo section. I think it was part 1. This is a very similar message, and I think this is kind of a reiteration of that energy. It's a lot less aggressive. It doesn't feel nearly as aggressive. It feels like you have worked through a lot of it, but I'm being shown that like you still need to hold yourself to that standard of working through things. Not necessarily beating yourself up if you can't get to a certain state of mind, but like not going back to the old ways of reactionary behavior based on the way you're feeling. If it's like really intense, like really, really sit with that before moving forward. But yeah, that concludes your reading, Virgo. I love you so much. Thank you for tuning in. And that actually does conclude for part 1. And so I don't know if my phone cut the video off, because I know it cuts it off around 38 minutes. But we are actually going to move on to part 2. So I'm going to stop the video and we will start again. If you don't want to watch part 2, that is perfectly cool. Thank you all so much. If you would like to book a personal reading, send an email to jazarkashepherd@gmail.com. You can find me at Instagram, on Instagram, jazarkashepherd. Love you all so much. I wish you a blessed weekend, and I will see you next time. See you in part 2, actually. Bye.